Okay. So, we start with, and hopefully nabasa niyo na 'tong ano 'no, yung yung handouts na 'to, guys. Nag-upload ako ng panibagong handouts na meron kasing ilan sa inyo na nag-request na ano 'no, yung full page na lang na handouts yung ibigay ko. Okay, so let's do sample calculations dito sa FE3C diagram. Okay, so again, hopefully nabasa niyo 'tong handouts na 'to, and you listen to the podcast as well, no? Explaining the different uses ng ano natin, binary phase diagrams. Okay, let's start with ito. Hindi ko masyadong na tinouch on na sa ano 'no, or hindi ko na tinouch on at all doon sa podcast. So we begin with the different invariant reactions, no? So we call this as invariant reactions because they only occur at one temperature and composition combination. Okay? So if you remember Gibbs phase rule, naalala nyo ba yun? Gibbs phase rule. Whenever we have three phases, and essentially ito ay three phases in equilibrium, no? If you look at it, this is a liquid transforming into two solids. So that's um, one phase. This is one phase. This is a second phase, and this is a third phase. So if you have three phases that are in equilibrium with each other, and siguro ang ano no, more accurate dito is should be this should be a ano no, reversible na reaction. Etong reaction na 'to, if it is in equilibrium, then all three phases must exist at the same time. And by Gibbs phase rule, dapat if you have three phases, you are only allowed 1 degree of freedom, no? 0 degrees of freedom, I mean. So meaning you cannot change either composition or your temperature. Okay, so these fixed points can be seen in the phase diagrams, no? So we've touched on it briefly, yung mga uh, yung that the phase boundary is just a boundary between the transformation of one phase to a next phase. And if I can show you a, I don't know, this is the FEF3C diagram. So if I were to transfer from, for example, this phase field here or phase region, and I will transfer from this region to this region, then I am saying that I am doing a reaction equivalent to, and let me shift to my, I don't know, Hmm, kopya ko lang 'to. Okay. Nakikita ba yung ano, yung FE3C? Wala. Okay, nakikita naman siguro. Okay. So, what I'm saying is, kunwari, if you are transforming from this phase to this phase, then that is saying that, kita nyo ba? Sorry, hindi pa. Okay, yan. Nakikita nyo na, no? Nakikita nyo yung arrow? Nakaka-drawing ko lang. Sorry class, no, kasi nasa office kasi ako ngayon, so hindi ako naka-double monitor. So hindi ko actually nababasa agad-agad yung chat nyo. So kung may gusto nyo mag-immediate na feedback, no, or may concern kayo na gustong i-raise, pwede bang pakigamit na lang yung mic nyo. Thank you. Okay. So ano pa magandang kulay? So let's use a green siguro para kita. Kita ba? Yung green arrow.
Nawawala-wala.
Yeah. Or let's try a darker color na para mas malinaw. Blue na lang. So, kunwari ganyan. So, if we were transferring from this phase field, ito, and we are transferring to this phase field, this is a reaction that is saying na liquid is transforming to your gamma. So, in this case, only two phases exist, no? So, that's why kung two phases siya, you only have, you will result to 1 degree of freedom, no? And that 1 degree of freedom is either pwedeng ibaguhin nyo yung temperature or baguhin nyo yung composition so that you can achieve equilibrium. And this is represented by this line, no? So when we have an invariant reaction, ang ibig sabihin ng isang invariant reaction is that you are fixed to one single point lang, no? So hindi mo kayang baguhin yung temperature and again, I'll illustrate, no, with an example. So for example, if I want ito, and I want the gamma and liquid to coexist at the same time, so which means etong line na to, this is that line, no? That is the equilibrium line between these two phases. Then that's saying na if I have 1,400 degrees Celsius, then ang minimum concentration ko is whatever this line is. Kung i-drop natin siya dyan, then that is the minimum. No? Itong 0. Let's just estimate mga 0.8 siguro. Na ganyan. Similarly, kung given ako ng composition, yung minimum temperature para mag-exist tong two phases na gamma plus liquid is itong temperature na to. Anything above that temperature, you will be sure na meron kang two phases. Anything below, sure ka na one phase na lang. So, ito yung equilibrium point na yan. Tama? So, notice na isa yung binibigay ko, tapos may isa yung pwede kong i-adjust, tapos yung isang parameter nagpo-follow lang doon sa second parameter. So that is what we mean by 1 degree of freedom. No? You can only, you are free, quote unquote, you are free to choose one parameter and everything follows suit. Okay? So the thing about invariant reactions is that, again, ito siya, these are cases wherein you have three phases involved, no? So if I go back to the slide, ito, balik tayo doon sa ano, no? So notice again, parating three phases involved. So if it's eutectic, you have one liquid, two solids. If you have eutectoid, it's three solids involved. Peritectic, it's one solid, one liquid and two solids. Again, dito sa peritectoid is three solids, etc., etc. Okay? So with that, if by Gibbs phase rule again, as I mentioned earlier, you can only have only have 0 degrees of freedom. So what it means is wala kang pwedeng baguhin. The eutectic the equilibrium point for that invariant reaction will be fixed at one point. And for your Fe3C diagram, meron tayong three invariant reactions actually, no, or three invariant points. And that is, you can tell where these reactions are by just noting at, just looking for what we call as a triple point. So, meron tayong tinatawag na triple point. So if you look at this, meron tayong triple point. We have one triple point here, another here, and meron din tayo dito. Tama? No, sorry. Dito triple point. Dito, and dito yung isa natin. Okay? And I think this is also in the slides, no? So if we go back to the slides, dito, yeah. So we have, this is your peritectic to, this is your eutectic, and this is your eutectoid. Okay? So, dito na. Isa-isayin natin. So itong peritectic natin, it exists at this particular point, no? And this particular point, you look at it, this is where you have your liquid transforming into, you have your liquid plus delta that is transforming to gamma. So the way you can figure out that class, no, is, and dito kasi the regions are quite small, no? So baka isipin nyo, hindi ko naman, wala namang naka-label, sir, kung anong klaseng phase field niya. So from Mati 11 siguro na na turo na sa inyo to, no? But let's just reiterate it. So whenever we have two regions in between two adjacent regions or two single phase fields, then yung region na yon is just a mixture of the two adjacent regions. So what I mean by that is, kunwari etong phase field na to, kunwari hindi nakasulat to kung ano to, kunwari lang hindi natin alam, then we can predict it by just simply looking at the two adjacent regions niya. So adjacent region niya is the gamma phase and the liquid phase. Therefore, ito is gamma plus liquid. Okay? And we can look at another example, no? So for example, itong dulo kasi ng line na to, this is the Fe3C phase. So anything about 6.7 will produce a cementite phase. So kaya ito siya, it's sa left side niya is gamma and sa right side is Fe3C. Kaya Fe3C siya. We can also look at this phase, kunwari. So to the left of it is pure alpha, so that's alpha, and to the right of it is pure gamma. So ito, in between should be a mixture of alpha and gamma. Okay? So with that said, try natin i-figure out kung ano to, no? So this is pure delta daw to. And let me just ask, no? Familiar naman kayo sa different allotropies of iron or different forms of iron? In different phases na that can exist as a solid. You can use your yes and no buttons, no? Para lang mas makita ko. Or you can use your chat. Have you heard of the different allotropies? Bukod dun sa yung slide na nabanggit ko sa podcast, meron ba sa inyo na familiar dito? The three phases? From Math E11, na-discuss ba to at all?
Not much.
I'm sorry, ano yun ulit, Naya? Si Naya ba yun?
Si Precious, sir. Hindi masyado, sir.
Precious
Hindi
ba?
masyado na-discuss.
Hindi masyado na-discuss. Okay. So, siguro pwede natin i-run down, no? So, meron tayong... Let me just open it. Basta na panibagong ano. Okay. So, meron tayong three allotropes of iron, no? And we again class, no, sa almost all of the discussions dito sa 176 and even sa textbooks, no, lalo na pag material science pinag-usapan, usually the way we explain it is through the Fe3C system kasi again siya yung well understood na system, no. So we have meron tayong the first phase is alpha phase and we sometimes call this as yung ferrite. Ito yung ano natin, no. This is the stable phase doon sa at room temperature. So given normal conditions of steel without o kung Fe and Fe, kung meron lang tayong Fe carbon system, no, so that's steel. Kung hindi tayo naglagay ng mga alloying elements, ang stable form niya is at room temperature is your alpha, no. Or sige, let's not discuss about systems, no. Let's just discuss about pure iron lang mismo. So for pure iron, the stable form is alpha. Tapos yung next niya is yung gamma, which is the austenite. This is austenite. Tapos yung delta, which is just delta iron lang din yung tawag sa kanya. Delta iron. Wala siyang special names like alpha ferrite or gamma austenite. Okay? So you'll notice na parang may disconnect, no? Kasi if you look at it, meron siyang alpha, gamma, delta, pero nag-skip siya sa beta, no? Dapat may beta ka dito. Tama? So familiar kayo kung ano yung beta? So, familiar ba kayo sa history of iron, why there is no beta? So beta is actually an obsolete phase, no? So we have what we call as your Curie point. So at this Curie point, alpha, your alpha transforms or nagbabago yung magnetism niya, no? From a magnetic na metal, nagiging non-magnetic yung iron natin when it goes past the Curie point. So I forgot the exact value ng Curie point, no? And I could probably search it out. Curie point. Iron. Curie point or Curie temperature is 1043 Kelvin. No? So it's 1043 Kelvin. So parang fun fact to guys para sa inyo. No? So it's 1043. At 1043, yung alpha natin behaves differently, no, in terms of magnetism. And that's why they thought na different phase to si beta. Pero with newer technologies, they found out na si beta is just the same as alpha, no? Same structure sila. Iba lang talaga yung magnetic properties na due to the increase in temperature. So that's why now obsolete na to, tinanggal na siya, and alpha na yung, o walang pinalit sa kanya, pero para hindi nakakalito, ni-retain pa rin yung naming, no? So that's why si gamma austenite is still gamma and not beta, no? So that's just a short history no, sa mga allotropes of iron. So in most cases, etong dalawa lang yung pinaka-importante sa atin, no? Because austenite can be stable in room temperatures depending on the alloying elements, the common alloying elements na nilalagay natin sa steel systems natin, no? Or iron systems. Si delta almost always only exists in high temperature regions, no? Which is not wala siyang masyadong practical na applications as engineers, no? So that's why almost always concerned lang tayo if alpha ferrite yung napoproduce or si gamma ferrite. Or I'm sorry, gamma austenite. Okay? So let's go back doon, no? So we have, this is your delta phase. This delta, tapos dito, this is a liquid. Therefore, etong region na to, this is your liquid plus delta. And this is, if you look at this region, no, liquid plus delta, from here to here, it's transforming into gamma austenite. Okay? So this is our first na invariant, which is your peritectic reaction, no? So again, nasa slides naman to lahat. Let me look at the slides, no? Kung nandun lang. Okay? Mas okay sa slides kasi mas zoomed in siya, no? Mas maganda yung zoom. Let me transition back to the slide. Okay? So this is our first na reaction, peritectic. And we can actually use the lever rule para dito, no? So if you look at it, meron actually lever siya that exists or meron siyang tie line that exists at that particular invariant, no? So let's transition back dito. So look at this, no? If we take this line, medyo pixelated pa, pero maliit lang kasi itong region na to, guys, no? So if you look at this, ito is actually a tie line. Tama? This is the tie line where the fulcrum is located dito. Ito yung fulcrum natin. Kung saan yung parang yung equilibrium point natin where all three phases can coexist, no? So this equilibrium point here or the peritectic point is at 1493, and we can determine kung ano yung ano niya, no? So we can go down. Tapos madidetermine natin yung composition where we have peritectic conditions or where we can have the peritectic reaction. So bukod doon, diba from the podcast, you should know that you're also able to determine kung ano yung compositions of each of the phases. So the delta phase should contain this much iron, and the alpha and the liquid phase should contain this much. I'm sorry, carbon pala yung measure dito sa sa FeFe3C diagram. So sa baba, kaya nyo ma-determine yung carbon content, and if you get the balance, you can determine the iron. So dito rin, Si liquid, kaya mo rin ma-determine yung amount of carbon niya. Tapos, using the tie line, ito, you can determine the amount of liquid present and the amount of iron present. Tama? So this is actually just a tie line, no? So that's why doon sa slides, makikita nyo na meron tayong exact amounts. So that's liquid. The liquid exists as meron siyang 0.53 weight percent carbon, which is just again, ito lang siya. Ito point na to. Kung anong carbon content dito. The delta contains 0.09, which is this point. Tapos yung gamma natin contains 0.18, which is this point. Okay? Next, we have the eutectic. This is at 4.3% carbon. So again, ang tie line naman natin dito is, if we go back, ito na yung magiging tie line natin. Tama? So itong region na to. So ito yung eutectic point. Ito yung composition ng gamma natin. So this is the gamma. And ito yung composition ng Fe3C. Fe3C. Okay? So Fe3C is always 6.7%. So yung 6.7, you might be wondering bakit 6.7. Para ma-solve nyo yun, you just get the molar, it's the stoichiometric na weight lang ng carbon in Fe3C. So the way we compute it is, I forgot the exact term. Ano bang chemistry term nito? If I remember, I'll show you class now. Pero yung molar weight ng carbon plus molar weight ng Fe times 3 plus molar weight again ng carbon. If you compute this, you should get 6.7%. Try this. Meron bang isa sa inyo may hawak na calculator? Can you compute this for me? Kung ano yung exact value niya? Meron bang nagko-compute? Sana may nagko-compute. Carbon is 12. Iron is around 55.8. Okay, ako na nag-compute. Ang nakuha ko is 0.0668. So, close to 6.7. No? So, it's 6.68% yung nakuha ko pag ginawa natin. So, kaya siya 6.7 yung percent carbon ni Fe3C. Okay? So, meron tayong 6.7%. Tapos, ito yung magiging weight percentage na and at the eutectic temperature. So we call the isotherm here as the eutectic temperature. Tapos yung yung composition is the eutectic composition. Okay? So again, it's an invariant because you cannot change the temperature nor can you change the composition. No? So if you move to the left, then you go towards this region. If you move to the right, you are in this region. If you move upwards, nandito ka na region. Downwards, nandito ka na region. So walang point kung saan all three phases exist at the same time. Bukod dito sa, walang other point, bukod dito sa triple point na to or the eutectic point. Okay? So perhaps the most useful sa atin as metallurgical engineers para sa eutectics are important, no? Lalo na pag yung mga non-ferrous tulad ng kunwari yung pinaka-common natin na lead tin solder. Yung eutectic point ng lead tin solder is of particular significance doon sa when we discuss the behavior of the solidification or melting of solders, no? Pero when it comes to steel, the more important na point is actually the eutectoid point. So you often hear this term, no, the eutectoid point. The eutectoid point is just a point kung saan um, nag-i-exist yung pearlitic na ano natin, no, transformation. So it's actually the gamma transforming, and we call let's do a reversible na reaction, no? Gamma transforming into Fe plus Fe3C, or alpha plus Fe3C. Okay? And if you are doing moderate na ano na cooling rates, then this is your pearlite phase, no? Or pearlite microstructure. Okay? So di ba na-mention ko din dun sa podcast something about yung equilibrium phase, no? So this is the equilibrium na microstructure. So ang equilibrium microstructure ng iron, that is saying na you leave your iron at a very long amount of time, and you can probably heat it, no, para na-increase yung kinetics, no? So if you say, for example, this is the stable na region na, so that's from 727. And siguro in time, in ano class, no, the more you work with this particular na phase diagram, the more you become familiar with the different na temperatures, no? So almost all graduates of metallurgical engineering, parang sobrang familiar nila sa 727, no? So 727 is just the eutectoid composition. So for me, there are certain na ano, no, na systems na very familiar ako. So one of the few systems na familiar ako is etong phase diagram of steels. Tas familiar din ako dun sa lead and tin, no, because I used to work in Motolite. We deal with lead alloys. So very familiar din ako dun sa lead tin. And yung mga values nun, yung 232, which is the eutectic point, 187 pa lang eutectic point. 232 is for the tin, tapos 327 yung para sa lead. Anyway, I'm saying this because siguro as metallurgical engineers, maganda rin na maging familiar kayo sa at least two systems, no? So akin, it's iron. So for you guys, usually parang kailangan talaga alam natin yung iron, no? So if I were to ask you to draw the from scratch, no, to draw the iron, dapat familiar kayo kung paano, no? So if ako, kung ipapadraw nyo ako, usually ang kaya ko is a ano, no, estimate lang. Ito, kaya ko i-drawing yung ganitong part. Tapos ganyan. And yung part na medyo nalilito na ako is dito. Para sa akin, medyo, for me, ito blurred na to sa akin, no? Hindi ko na alam kung ano nangyayari dito. Pero at least alam ko nangyayari dito, no? So, alpha plus Fe3, alpha plus gamma, gamma na alpha plus Fe3C. This is liquid plus no, sorry. This is your beta alpha plus gamma plus Fe3C plus liquid. Tapos dito is liquid plus gamma, liquid plus Fe3C. So yan, medyo familiar ako doon. Dito lang ako, hindi ko na in-attempt na i-memorize no, kasi para sa akin blurred na region lang yan. Hindi siya masyadong importante. For me, that is for me, no? But maybe in the future, kailangan nyo din siya. Okay. Lower ko pa. Anyway, so we were talking about ano, no, yung equilibrium na what is the true equilibrium structure of your iron or steel system when it goes to room temperature. So it's not actually pearlite, no? Although this is the most common for moderate cooling, pero actually, and I think you're familiar with this, no? Narinig nyo na ba tong ano? Yung microstructure na to? Spheroidite. Have you heard of spheroidite before?
Di ba po?
Hindi pa. Hindi ko alam kung saan na part to madi-discuss, no, yung different. Siguro sa different heat treatments of ferrous alloys, no? So that's heat treatment number 1. madidiscuss to. Pero spheroidite actually is the true equilibrium na mixture for your I don't know. So the way it looks like is para siyang yung microstructure niya is meron ka mga alpha grains, tapos yung mga ano natin si Fe3C exist uh, along the grain boundaries or minsan nasa loob din ng grain boundaries, no? Pero usually na mas stable sila sa grain boundaries, no? They exist as parang spheres, no? So parang globular yung ito yung term na ginagamit, no? Globular yung structure niya. So that is actually the ano no, the equilibrium. So kaya siya tinawag na spheroidite, no? Okay? So perlite, dito sa perlite, no? So perlite is actually the more common, no, na microstructure from if you are doing moderate cooling, no. So si perlite is unique because if I think you remember this, no? Yung structure ng perlite kasi is parang lamellar structure siya. And this lamellar structure is because of yung slow cooling natin, no? So eventually, if you allow your system to go to true equilibrium, itong mga lamellar na ano na to, this is Fe3C, no, yung mga lamellar na layers natin, magta-transform siya into magko-coalesce sila, tapos magpo-form sila ng mga globules, no, or yung spheres, and that spheres will become yung spheroidite. Okay, so this is a reversible reaction wherein yung three stable phases natin at the eutectoid point is alpha plus Fe3C tapos gamma, no? So this exists at yung eutectoid temperature, and you should probably memorize this by heart na class, no? So always pag sinabi natin eutectoid point, we mean 727 degrees Celsius tapos 0.76% carbon. Minsan inestimate nila, no, na 0.8% ng carbon. Kaya pagka kunwari binigyan kayo ng 1080 steel, so if you have 1080 steel, usually ang ibig sabihin nitong 1080 steel, we estimate this as the eutectoid composition, no? Kasi wala namang rare naman na magbigay tayo ng 1076, no? Usually medyo naka-round na yung or rounded numbers na yung compositions natin sa steel. So pag 1045, 1030, 1040, yung mga ganun, no? So yung in fact dun sa CCP 1080 yung ginagamit natin, no? Pero sinasabi na natin na yun yung eutectoid composition kahit off siya by 0.04%, which is okay lang naman sa atin. Okay? So if we are dealing with the eutectoid composition, so dito siya. So from gamma, it goes down and it forms alpha plus Fe3C. Okay? So we know the composition of the gamma because the alpha, the alpha is this composition. Kasi ang tie line natin is, if we draw the entire tie line, no, this will be our entire tie line. From here, papunta doon sa end. So from this point, this is our alpha. Tapos yung Fe3C is itong composition na to if we bring it down. So ito siya, 6.7 yung Fe3C natin. Tapos si alpha natin is 0.022. 0.022% carbon. Okay? Tapos yung composition ng gamma natin is 0.76. Okay? Tapos if we were to compute the amount of the mixture, we just use this lever, no? So remember, if you use the inverse lever rule, kung nandito si alpha, then ang lever ni alpha should be the opposite lever, no? So hindi yung adjacent, we use the opposite. So itong percent ng length na to will be alpha, tapos itong lever na to will be the Fe3C lever. Okay? So you can actually have a computation. Let's go back to the handouts, no? Dun sa handouts natin, dito siya. So notice na si gamma is 0.76, alpha 0.022, and Fe3C is 6.7%. Okay? So now that we know this eutectoid na reaction, no, there are cases wherein hindi all the time nasa eutectoid tayo, no? So minsan nasa pre-eutectoid point tayo o pwede rin nasa post-eutectoid point tayo. So there are special names for those alloys, no? And we call them as your hyper-eutectoid and hypo-eutectoid. So when you say hypo-eutectoid, we mean any composition that is before the eutectoid point. Okay, so that is ang percent carbon niya is lower than 0.76. Tapos pag sinabi namang hyper-eutectoid, that is a composition after the uh, 0.76 mark. So dito yung hyper-eutectoid na region. Okay? So let's try to compute the pro-alpha phase. So to illustrate this, I need to go back dun sa ano. So bakit meron tayong tinatawag na pro-alpha phase? So what exactly is happening, no? Bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng pro-alpha phase? So pro-alpha, it's called pro-alpha because this is the alpha ferrite that is formed before you are forming your perlite na or your perlite or your alpha plus Fe3C mixture. Okay? So pro is just means before, no? Okay? So let's start from a eutectoid na composition, no? So hypo-eutectoid composition, I should say. So let's just say nandito tayo. Okay? Then we do extremely a slow solidification. Tapos punta tayo dito. Then technically if we're doing this, no, we should use the continuous cooling curve, pero we can estimate this as ito yung cases wherein we do extremely slow cooling, no, which is not particularly practical, pero it helps us understand kung ano yung developments ng microstructure na nangyari sa ano natin. Okay, so what happens here is when you reach this point, so this is the boundary between alpha and gamma, alpha plus gamma to gamma, then what actually happens here is yung alpha natin is slowly being produced. So this is the first point wherein alpha is being precipitated out. Okay? So what that looks like is kung meron tayong gamma, puro gamma yan, this is our microstructure kunwari, nangyari dyan is slowly nagpo-produce ka na at the grain boundaries, meron kang alpha na napoproduce. No? So kunwari ganyan. May slow alpha ka dyan, tapos puro gamma to. At the grain boundary, slowly nagpo-precipitate out si alpha. Okay? So, when alpha is being precipitated out, then slowly, nagkakaroon tayo ng alpha plus gamma. So, and actually, you can also use the tie line dito, guys, no? So, if you look at this, kunwari, nandito kayo. If you're there, pwede kayo mag-produce ng tie line na to. So, this tie line here signifies na at, kunwari, at what is this? 700 to 750, around siguro 780. Sabihin natin 780, no? So at 780 degrees Celsius, kaya actually natin ma-measure kung ilang amount of alpha na yung na-produce at ilang amount of gamma yung na-produce. Tama? So actually, kaya natin ma-determine yun, no? Yung step by step. And notice na since inverse lever rule to, no? Yung right lever na to, which signifies the lever for the alpha, is constantly increasing, no? Tama? So constantly increasing siya dito, increasing alpha, tapos decreasing yung gamma. Tama? If you look at the lever, from here, tumataas siya ng ano. And this action here enriches your gamma. So, ang nangyayari is, yung gamma natin from, ano ba tong composition to? Let's just say kung 0.5 to around 0.4. Let's just say 0.4 to, no? So, if you have a 0.4% carbon, and that's, we call that as 1040, no? So again, just to refresh your memories class, no? Pag sinabing 1040, we mean that ibig sabihin lang niyan is yung 10 is plain carbon and 40 is the amount of carbon there is, no? So that is 40 over 100. So 0.4% carbon siya. So 1080 is 80%, 0.8% carbon. Okay, so so aabot tayo sa point dito when we reach the eutectoid line, no? We reach a point wherein the gamma is constantly being enriched, no? So at this particular point, and again, paano natin mine-measure yung composition ng gamma natin? If this is the tie line, kunwari dito, yung gamma natin is this, di ba? Tama? And this is your alpha. As you go down, nandito na yung gamma mo. Up to dito, nandito na yung gamma mo. Okay? So notice how when you are, you are precipitating out your alpha, your gamma is constantly being enriched. Okay? So naging enriched yung carbon content na. Up to the point wherein pagdating dito sa eutectoid temperature, umabot ka na sa eutectoid composition. And when it reaches eutectoid composition, yung alpha natin now begins transformation, the eutectoid transformation from gamma into alpha plus Fe3C. Okay? So, ang nangyayari dito actually class is, first, when you have hypoeutectoid, nangyayari is, first we need to produce the alpha first. So, yung initial microstructure niya is, meron tayong mga pro-alpha, alpha first. Then once dumating na tayo sa eutectoid composition, magbibigay na yung transformation ng gamma natin into Fe3C. So what happens is, if you have a microstructure na ganyan, usually ang makikita natin is, if it starts off as, parang kunwari, yan yung gamma natin, no? What happens is, along the grain boundary, meron tayong lining, no? May parang bright na lining. And this lining is your pro-alpha phase. Tapos yung gamma natin, when it now proceeds with the eutectoid composition, eutectoid transformation, I should say, dito na nagkakaroon ng perlytic phase. Para ganyan. So ito yung magiging final microstructure. Meron tayong pro-eutectoid phase. Okay? So how do we, with that said, no, pwede natin ma-measure yung pro-eutectoid alpha using yung tie line tsaka yung inverse lever rule. So let's try, ito na, meron tayong sample calculations dito. So for a 99.65%, sorry, transition tayo. So example natin, for a 99.65 weight percent Fe steel system at temperature just below the eutectoid, we are to determine the fractions of the total ferrite and cementite phase. Tapos measure din natin yung fractions of the pro-eutectoid ferrite and pearlite, and the fraction of the eutectoid ferrite. Okay, so the way we compute that is, since we're using the tie line, no? So our tie line again is ito, from here to here. So if we want to measure the alpha phase, then it's just 6.7 minus 0.35, ito, from here, divided by 6.7 minus 0.22. Kasi ito yung total length. Yung total length of tie line. Tapos yung amount of alpha na na-produce niya is ito yung lever na yon. Ito from here to here, yan yung pro-alpha phase natin. Okay? So you should get a value of 95%. Ano, hindi pala to hindi pa to pro-alpha. So this is the total alpha na meron tayo. So that includes, this total alpha is the value, kasi we are measuring it from the entire Thailand na yun, no? So yung makukuha natin from mula dito papunta dito is actually yung alpha na po-produce mo dyan is a combination of the pro-alpha plus yung alpha na nasa eutectoid composition natin or eutectoid mixture, which is let's just say perlite node. So this is the pro phase plus the perlite phase, yung total pagka kinuha natin from here to here. If we want to get the pro phase, kung pro phase lang yung kino-compute natin, then what we do is mag-measure tayo from this tie line lang, from here to here lang. Okay? So if we measure that, we should get so if you measure this tie line from here to here, if we get 0.76 minus yung composition natin, so ang example is 0.35, no? 0.35 divided by 0.76 minus 0.022, which is the entire length of this tie line, no? Then we get, this will be your pro-alpha phase. Okay? So if that is your pro-alpha phase, then yung remaining is yung gamma phase. And since we are now, so ang mangyayari dito is, ito yung alpha phase, no? Sorry. Inverse level rule kasi siya. So ito yung alpha phase, tas ito yung gamma phase. Pero the problem states na we are to determine the fractions of we are to determine the fractions at a temperature just below the eutectoid. So kung just below the eutectoid tayo, this means na nandito tayo sa portions na to. So we are nudging it downwards, just below. So meaning yung gamma natin has completely transformed into your perlite. Okay? And since we're doing slow equilibrium cooling, we are assuming na parang perlitic yung microstructure na napoproduce natin. Okay? So kaya yung remaining gamma, so again, technically dapat gamma and alpha siya, no? Pero since we're doing this just below, then all of the gamma remaining, so if we do the calculations, ito, all of the gamma na nandito, so it's 0.56 for the pro-alpha, yung 0.44 na natira, which is the gamma phase, has completely transformed into perlite. So that's a perlitic phase. Kaya siya 0.44. Then lastly is ano yung fraction ng eutectoid na ferrite, which is yung ferrite na nandun sa perlite na mixture, no? We just get the total alpha, which we computed earlier, minus the composition of the pro-alpha, which would give us 0.39. So again, di ba sabi natin na kaya sinabi natin kanina, yung na-compute natin is actually yung total na total composition. So we know this total, na-compute natin to, tapos pro-alpha, kaka-compute lang natin, we should be able to get the alpha na nandun sa perlite natin or sa eutectoid composition. Okay? So this hypoeutectoid tsaka hypereutectoid na conditions, actually parang lang siya, certain manipulations lang yung ginagawa para kumbaga manipulations of the tie line lang, knowing where our tie line is, ano yung exact na tie line na gusto natin i-compute, tapos knowing that tie line and knowing your knowledge and with your knowledge of the inverse level rule, kaya natin ma-compute yung different na or yung complicated na mga compositions that can be extracted from a certain system. Okay? So siguro I'll leave this at that, no? And siguro pwede kong iwan na lang sa inyo to explore more paano naman pagka-hypereutectoid. So this just means the same thing, no? Pero this time, instead of a pro-alpha phase, And I could probably show it. No? So dito, nangyayari dito is, instead of let me use a cleaner brush na lang para, okay. Okay. So instead of a pro-alpha phase, ang mapuproduce actually natin is what we call as a pro-cementite phase. Okay, so if you notice dito, this is a hypereutectoid naman, no? So pag hypoeutectoid is when we have um, we are at a composition less than the eutectoid composition, so that's 0.76. Tapos pag ano naman, hypereutectoid is a composition after 0.76 or greater than 0.76. Okay? So ito yung nangyayari sa hypoeutectoid, no? Hypereutectoid, I should say. So hypereutectoid, nandito ka. Kumbaga ganyan. So, instead of pro-alpha na po-produce, dito naman, from gamma austenite, ito siya. Wari yan yung ano natin, gamma. From here, pagbaba mo dyan, slowly nagpo-produce ka. At this point, nagpo-produce ka na ng Fe3C mo. So ito siya. Produce ka ng mga Fe3C precipitates dito sa grain boundaries. And eventually, pag umabot ka sa point na to, you have fully lined or substantial yung amount of Fe3C dan dito sa grain boundaries mo. So as opposed kanina, instead of pro-alpha, ngayon pro-cementite naman yun na produce mo. So this is pro-Fe3C or pro-cementite. Again, cementite is another term used to describe iron carbide, no, or Fe3C. Okay, so similarly, tie lines lang din yung gagamitin natin dito, no? So dito, if you imagine, si gamma, di ba dito nag-i-enrich si gamma hanggang dumating siya sa eutectoid na composition. Opposite naman nangyayari doon sa hypereutectoid. So from a very rich phase na nadadilute yung austenite natin. So bumababa yung Fe3C, yung carbon content niya. Yung carbon content niya pababa ng pababa hanggang dumating na siya dito sa 0.76, where when you reach the 0.76% austenite, magpo-proceed na yung eutectoid reaction natin from gamma to Fe3C plus alpha, which again, in slow to moderate na cooling rates, usually perlite yung napoproduce na structure dito, no? Okay? So, malinaw ba yun? Does that make sense? So with that, you should be able to fully compute, no, kung ano yung mga values na to. So you should be able to compute for total ferrite and cementite phases. Gamitin lang natin yung buong tie line, no, from 0.76 to 6.7. Next is yung fractions of the pro-eutectoid cementite. Pro-eutectoid cementite again, or sometimes abbreviated as pro-cementite. Siya yung pag ginamit natin yung tie line from 0.76 to 6.7. Sorry. Pag ginamit natin yung tie line from whatever composition papunta doon sa cementite phase. Okay? Ito yung i-rundown ko lang, no? So again, pag total, gagamitin natin yung buong tie line from sorry, I misspoke, no? What I mean is yung buong tie line na to, gagamitin natin pag total yung kino-compute natin, kasama yun sa 0.022. Tapos pagka lang, yung cementite phase lang, dito yung tie line na minamanipulate natin. Okay? Pagka pro-cementite, tapos pwede tayong mag-compute din, no? Yung other values. Itong fraction of the eutectoid cementite, pwede din natin ma-compute yun. Okay? So obviously, pag kunwari, nag-exam na tayo, no? Marami pa pwedeng manipulations na pwedeng gawin. No? So pwedeng, kunwari, ang tanong lang namin is, just at temperature na nandito lang kayo, ganyan, ano yung expected na amounts, tapos pag nag-drop na kayo ng ano yung et cetera, et cetera. So there are different no. So just be mindful kung ano yung ano yung just look at what is being asked, tapos from there tingnan niyo rin kung ano yung different na timelines na applicable doon sa tinatanong ng question. Okay? Malinaw ba? I hope malinaw naman, no? So we can we have 15 more minutes, which I think is enough time to discuss CCT and TTT. Very short topic lang kasi ang the way we use CCT and TTT, no, is very straightforward lang naman. Siguro yung science behind it yung medyo mahirap, pero all of those were appropriately discussed in the podcast, no? So we noted that yung key differences lang ng TTT versus CCT is that yung TTT has a cooling profile that looks something like this. So we have an isothermal hold. Usually quench siya, we isothermally hold it at a particular temperature, tapos quench again. And we could have numerous na holds, no? So pwedeng isothermal hold, tapos cool and quench. Yung CCT naman is very straightforward lang, no? Dire-diretso lang siya. So as the name implies, continuous cooling, continuous lang yung pag-cool natin sa material natin. And this is the more practical, no, na approach, lalo na pagka we are dealing with steel. No? Usually, we just austenitize it. From the austenitic na phase, we continuously cool natin, and depending on the type of quenchant na ginamit. So we have different quenchants, guys. No? So pwedeng air-cooled, so the quenchant is air. Pwede din we can have oil. So that's an oil quench. Pwedeng water, which is a water quench. Pwede din brine, which is water and salt. So maraming type of quenchants, no? And the type of quenchant will determine the severity of the quench. So the severity of the quench, if it's a high severity, meaning sobrang steep ng curve natin, pag low severity, uh, medyo tapered yung ano no, yung quenching profile niya, or softer yung quenching profile niya. Okay? So we've noted the difference pagka sa TTT, just a review of the podcast, no? Pag TTT, if you want to convert this into CCT, usually we are moving the nose to the right kasi delayed siya, and because of the time delay, delayed din, we are also moving it downwards, no? So if you notice, eto siya, and this was the slide that I used to explain sa yung time delay, no? So if this is the etong broken lines, that is your TTT. If we were to create the CCT, usually adjusted siya to the right and downwards. Okay? So the explanation is, again, can be seen in the podcast. No? Then we have also noted na when we have an isothermal curve, these are two isothermal curves. No? Sa isothermal curves, depending on the alloying elements na produce natin, we can have complicated na noses. No? So again, this is called the nose of the curve, sometimes known as an S curve or a C curve, depending on the shape. Dito, simple lang si eutectoid, no? Again, eutectoid meaning ito yung 1080 natin. Simple lang siya. It's just a basic nose, which we have your transformation start lines and the end transformation lines. Tapos, pagka nagkaroon ka ng kunwari 4340, this is actually, 43 is parang it has high amounts of alloying elements that is for corrosion resistance, no? So this could have parang vanadium, chromium, I forgot the exact no ng mga alloying elements, pero there are added alloying elements that produces different na mga C curves, no? So this time mukha na siyang S, so this is an S curve, and you have several noses, no? So may clear distinction ka ng nose ng pearlite and ferrite bay. Tapos ito, meron kang bainite bay dito sa bandang baba. Dito, separated lang yung pearlite and bainite bay by this horizontal line, no? So anything below this particular temperature, you are in the bainite region, tas anything above you are in the pearlite region. Okay, so we've also noted na pagka sa CCT, usually wala tayong bainite, no, unless meron tayong special na mga alloying elements that allows the formation of bainite. Okay, so let's look at a particular example. No? Ito yung binigay natin sa class. Now let's look at some more complicated, no? So for example, ito. This is when we use the when we have a proferrite na phase, no? So etong proferrite phase na to, we noted na 42% siya, and it's 42% because we need to compute for we need to use the phase diagram para ma-compute natin yung 42% na to. Okay? So let's go back. Okay. So, ano ba yung binigay na value doon? This is a ano to? 1045 steel. So, ito 1045 steel. Notice na itong line na to. So again, just a rundown of the features. No? So we have ang first line natin, itong red line na nasa taas. This is your transformation start line. Sometimes it's also called as the 1% line. No, so 1% because this is where you are you are beginning the transformation from your austenite, your starting phase, towards the whatever uh, uh, phase or microstructure you are forming. No? So this is the 1% transformation start line for the ferrite phase. Tapos ito, this is the transformation start line for the pearlite phase. Nakikita nyo naman yung cursor ko, class, no? Ito. Gagamitin ko na lang yung hand tool para mas malinaw siya. So ito yung transformation start line ng pearlite phase, and this is the transformation start line of the pearlite phase will also signify the transformation start line for, or the transformation end line of the ferrite phase. Sometimes the end line is also called the 99% line. The 99% because this is the point wherein you are ending your transformation. So this is the start line for the pearlite, which is the end line of the ferrite. Tapos dito, itong green na to, this is the end transformation line for the pearlite if you are in the pearlite bay. Tapos bainite siya if you are in the bainite bay. In between the transformation start lines are your 50% line, which is just yung indicator kung saan 50% ng transformation natin has occurred. Okay? So, here, this is a profile wherein, sabi daw, we quench it to a particular temperature. No, sorry. Nasa yung next page pa pala. Ito. So, ang ano daw natin profile is, we quench it, tapos we held it at a temperature of around 600, I'm estimating this to be 600, mga 620 siguro. 620 degrees Celsius. Tapos from 620, hinold natin. So again, na-mention ko rin sa class no, na as a podcast na you can show it this way wherein yung reset ng temperature happens after the hold tapos and just before the quenching. Pero pwede rin na yung reset natin occurs after the quench and before the hold. So it generally means the same thing. No? Basta we take note na whenever we use uh, whenever we measure the isothermal hold, we always start at yung leftmost or at time 0, no? Or in this case, time 0.1, which is just 10 to the negative 1. No? So, ang ibig sabihin lang dito is, dapat pag sinabing we held it for 1 second, measure tayo. So, from the quench, 1 second will be here. So, hindi tayo mag-measure from here, no? So, hindi natin sasabihin na since nag-start tayo dito, so hindi siya no, nag-start dito, so dapat dito ang 1 second, sir, kasi plus 1 second. Hindi ganun, no? Always start from the left side tayo. Whenever we do a hold, reset natin yung time natin to time 0. Okay? So, we reset to time 0, tapos hold natin. Pero pwede naman i-represent ng ganito din. So, again, dito siya, sa case na to, hinold niya up to the 50% line, no? So, but before we can reach the 50% line, nag-form muna tayo ng ferrite. Okay, so how do we compute 42%? We use the initial phase diagram. No? So, transfer ulit tayo dito. So, dito, this is hypo to, no? Tama? Kasi it's 1045. So, it's hypo, eutectoid. So, this is 0.45. Tapos, doon sa 1045, we are holding it at around 620 degrees Celsius. Tama? Kung 620 degrees Celsius, then that is so okay, so i-compute lang natin yung amount of pro-eutectoid na na-form before nag-proceed yung eutectoid reaction, which is the perlite transformation. So dito, we have, tama ba yung screen na pinapakita ko? Tama naman. So ito yung timeline na gagamitin natin class, no? So we start with 1045. 45 is somewhere dito, no? So mga ganyan siguro, 1045. So dito, again, gusto natin makompute kung ilan yung total na ferrite na na-form before the perlite transformation. Tama? So, if you want to get the amount of ferrite, of pro-eutectoid na ferrite, so this is ferrite, no? Then, we use the inverse lever rule, which indicates na ito siya. So, we can do 76 minus 0.45. Tama? And the total tie line is 0.76 minus 0.022. And can someone compute this? Compute. Magko-compute na rin. May narinig mo ang chat.
Sir, ano po? 0.42 sa akin.
Okay, that's good, no? So kaya siya 42% yung pro-alpha na mapuproduce natin. Okay? So kaya doon sa handouts natin, kaya ang result is 42%. Okay? So now you know where the 42% comes from, no? So if you were given this graph, kailangan din isipin nyo kung how it ties with the with the equilibrium phase diagram. Lalo na pag mga eutectoid ng mga pro-eutectoid or mga mga hypo-eutectoid or hyper-eutectoid compositions, no? Okay? So kung 42% siya, ibig sabihin meron na lang tayong 50. That's 42% minus 100 minus 42%. Meron na lang tayong 58% that can be used to be transformed into perlite and bainite if necessary, no? So remember na ang sabi natin class is kailangan mag-start tayo always at austenite. Tama? So yung ferrite, yung pro-ferrite na na-form, hindi na yun pwede mag-transform into perlite. Kasi if you observe dito sa portion na to, nandito tayo, no? So we transform it at up to this point, itong nag-start na yung transformation line for perlite, only the remaining 58% austenite will actually transform to perlite. Tama? So kung only 58% lang, tapos umabot tayo hanggang 50% transformation line. So if you compute that, 50% of 58% will give you 29%. Tama? So kaya ang perlite dito, if you notice, yung perlite transformation ay yung resulting perlite natin is 29%. So sabi, after 29%, nag-quench ulit tayo up to mga 420, 430, mga 430 siguro. So at 430, nag-hold tayo and we go past, umabot tayo hanggang the bainite na end transformation line. No? So from dito, start tayo sa 1% line or the start line of the bainite, past the 50% line of alpha austenite plus bainite. Tapos, nag-end tayo well within the bainite region. No? So we are fairly sure na lahat ng austenite na natira from the initial hold, no, it has been completely transformed to bainite. So that's why yung remaining 29% austenite will be transformed into bainite. Okay, so kaya siya, ang final natin for the microstructures is 42% for the pro alpha, tapos 29%, which is 50% of the remaining 58% gamma austenite, tapos yung remainder ng 29% will now be bainite. Okay, so mukhang hindi na tayo aabot sa CCT, no? So pwedeng sa next discussion na lang yun, which is next Tuesday tayo, no? Discuss tayo about CCT, pati yung sa Thursday lesson natin, which should be ano, no? Yung about ternary phase diagrams. Okay? So malinaw ba? Or are there any muddy points dito sa discussion natin for today or for this session? Okay ba yung ano natin? Nagigets ba yung lesson? Or meron bang saan kayo medyo nahirapan? Okay tayo sa phase diagram, no?
Okay naman po, sir.
Okay. That's good, no? Kasi since ginawa na sa Math 11 to, more review na lang talaga to, no?
Medyo nahirapan lang po sa CCT, sir, sa mga ganun po.
Okay. Sa CCT. And sa ano nyo, no? Sa CCT nyo, I think mas madami pa yung example sa 176.1, which is concurrent sa course na to, no? Tama ba? Nag-start na ba kayo? Gumawa ng mga, may worksheet na ba kayo about CCTs and TTDs?
Meron na pong binigay pero di pa po.
Okay, sige. So siguro with this discussion, no, mas mas better equipped na kayo para sagutan yung mga worksheets na yun. Doon sa TTT, ano yung medyo muddy points? Or medyo nakakalito? Meron ba? Or okay tayo? Based sa sinabi ni Precious, mukhang okay naman, no? Based sa sinabi, CCT yung medyo mas may, no? So TTT mas madali sa inyo kumpara sa CCT? Kasi personally ako mas nadadalian ako sa CCT, no? Kasi wala nang percentages na kinocompute dun eh. Directly, ang CCT kasi is more of what are the phases present that we are expecting. So wala nang percentages. Yun, mas straightforward yun, no? Siguro ang complicated lang doon is yung computation ng critical cooling rates, no? Kung paano natin ma-achieve yung ano. Okay? So I think kasi baka iba sa inyo may class pa ng ano 11:30. Meron bang may class ng 11:30? Meron ba? Kasi one option is pwede tayo mag-extend ng konti, around siguro mga 10 minutes. Extend tayo konti para i-discuss yung CCT. Tapos, para next week, dedicate natin yung buong session for ternary. Okay ba sa inyo yun? What do you think, guys? May isang nag-yes. Dalawa. Yung iba, meron bang pwede yung gamitin yung controls na, no? Pwede siguro, no? Okay lang. Okay, thank you, Excel. Sige, proceed tayo. Tapos in case meron sa iba sa inyo na may classes, pwede kayong umalis ng maaga or actually umalis ng ng sakto. Tapos i-re-record ko naman to. Okay, pwede naman. Go ahead, Excel. Ano po meaning ng 4340? Meaning ng 4340, the fourth, again, yung first two numbers is the alloy, no? So 43 is an alloy that is composed of yung steel natin plus meron siyang mga certain alloying elements, no? Usually yung mga vanadium, no? So if you search 43 series, may lalabas yan. Search nyo lang IC 43 series. Makikita nyo yung so AISI. So you can actually see na kung anong ibig sabihin no, no? So o kung ano yung exact, pero if I remember correctly, kasi lahat ng to is ita-type ko, no, AISI. So AISI, siya yung naming system kumbaga ng alloys natin. So yung AISI na 43 signifies an alloy which has some amounts of chromium, may manganese din. And wala palang vanadium to, no? I think 41 ata yung may vanadium. Pero in general, ito ay commonly used for corrosion na corrosion resistant na alloys. Ito yung mga yung mataas yung chromium content which prevents it from being corroded, no, because of the passivating layer na napoproduce niya. Okay? Tapos yung next na numbers, yung next two numbers, yung 40 just signifies the amounts, no? So amount of carbon, I should say. So pagka sinabing 4340, that's an alloy with chromium. Tapos the 40 here represents the amount of carbon, which is you have to divide it by 100. No? So 40 divided by 100 is 0.4. So meron siyang 0.4% carbon. Okay? So proceed tayo sa discussion with cooling curves. So again, for those who have to go, okay lang kasi ni-record naman natin yung session na to. So, we have na-discuss natin yung kung paano gamitin yung TTT. So, mga quench and holds lang siya. Tapos, i-note nyo lang, always just remember na you can only produce new microstructures pagka nanggaling siya sa austenite. So, any microstructures that have already been formed cannot transform to any other microstructure. No? Kailangan mag-start siya with austenite. The only cases wherein a new microstructure can be formed, kahit hindi siya nag-start from austenite, is yung tinatawag natin na tempered na martensite, no? So si tempered martensite kasi is, si tempered martensite comes from martensite, pero pag ininit nyo ulit yung tempered martensite, tapos hinode nyo for a substantial amount of time, then yung martensite natin can reduce its brittleness, no? So mababawasan ng konti yung yung brittleness, yung hardness niya, pero sobrang tataas yung ductility niya. So you sacrifice a bit of strength, but you gain a lot of ductility, which entails na mataas yung magiging overall toughness niya. And if you remember toughness, ito yung total amount of the total area under the curve of the stress strain diagram. So yun lang yung only case. No? So itong profile na to, this is nag-start siya with austenite, produce siya ng bainite, 50%, tapos yung other 50%, kinench niya down to martensite. No? And after martensite, nag-raise siya na temperature. Although itong portion na to class, no? Tama ba yung pinapakita ko? Tama naman. Itong portion na to sa baba, ito parang technically dapat nag-restart tayo, no? Nag-start tayo from itong sa baba, pero hindi na siya nagmamatter, no? Kasi wala naman ng ibang microstructures dapat na form. Yung martensite lang na form natin, na modify lang ng kaunti to form your tempered martensite. Yung bainite natin, wala naman tayong tempered bainite. Wala din tayong tempered perlite. Usually perlite and bainite, they remain as is, no? Pero if we held it at a long enough temperature, posible na yung perlite and bainite could transform to spheroidite, no? Pero for this part of the lecture, no, hindi muna natin i-concern yung sarili natin with the spheroidite na microstructures, no? So as of now, perlite, bainite, saka martensite, and possibly tempered martensite lang yung mga microstructures na i-focus natin. Okay? So actually, if you read some textbooks, no, meron pang different types of bainite, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. Meron pa tayong tinatawag na acicular bainite, no, and saka yung sa feather-like. What is feather-like? Acicular is needle-like bainite. Tapos meron tayong feather-like bainite, which depends on yung region ng natin, no? Kung saan natin pinoproduce yung bainite natin. So sometimes tinatawag din silang upper and lower bainite. Okay? So if you look at this, although dito wala nang distinction, no, pero in some textbooks and some reference materials, dinidivide pa nila yung Bainite regions. No? So meron pa tayong tinatawag dito sa taas. Meron pa tayong upper Bainite region, tapos meron tayong lower Bainite region. Pag upper Bainite region, usually feather-like or feathery Bainite yung tawag sa kanya, no? Feather-like. This comes from yung itsura niya, no? Sa microstructure, mas feather-like siya kumpara sa lower Bainite, which is more needle-like siya. So medyo yung mga Fe3C natin, mas needle yung like yung formation niya, or acicular Bainite yung tawag. Okay? Pero for now, we just consider them all as just Bainite. No? Okay? So proceed tayo sa cooling CCT, no, or the continuous cooling transformation. So ito, sobrang straightforward lang, no? You just note yung cooling profile nyo, and the cooling profile, from the cooling profile, tingnan nyo lang kung ano yung mga phases na tatamaan niya. So dito, kumbaga itong green line na to, so it starts from 800, so it's a moderate na cooling rate, no? And you can measure right now medyo mahirap mag-translate ng without the use of special tools. Mahirap ma-translate yung cooling rate ng ng graphs na to kasi hindi naman tayo marunong magbasa ng ng logarithmic scale. Kasi kunwari ito, this is supposed to be a continuous cooling rate na linear dapat siya, no? Pero since naka logarithmic scale, mahirap masabi kung ano yung exact na cooling rate nito. So you can estimate na pwede, the way we can estimate is since dapat linear to, so if we take 800, so that's 800 and nag-drop siya into 100 in this amount of time, then we can estimate na yun yung magiging cooling rate niya. So if we write that down, no? And let me modify class now. Okay. Open ako ng panibago. Okay. Let me transition. Yeah. Nakikita niyo na yung screen, no? So if you notice class, ito, we can estimate the cooling rate by just looking at the start and end points, no? So kunwari ito, we started at 800 degrees Celsius. Tapos nag-drop tayo to 100 in around 10 to the, and I discussed this sa podcast din, paano natin ma-estimate yung yung logarithmic scale. This is yung exponents natin is naka-linear yung niya, no. So dito sa exponential scale, ang naka-linear yung markings niya is actually the exponents. So dito, this is somewhere around 2 point, I'm estimating class, no? This is somewhere before 2.5. So ang estimate ko, this is supposed to be mga 2.45. Yun yung estimate ko class, no? So this is 10 to the 2.45. So if we compute the cooling rate, we have 800 minus 100. So cooling rate is just the change in temperature over the change in time. So that's 800 minus 100 over 2.45 seconds. So from time 0 to 10 to the 2.4 seconds. 2.45 minutes. And if you compute that, we should get 200, compute ko na lang, no? 200, and I'm sorry, that's 700 divided by, ano yung 10 to the 2.45, no? Which should give me around 2.48. So ang cooling rate nito is, it's a fairly modest, no? Cooling rate, that's 2.48 degrees Celsius per second. Okay, so that's how we can estimate, no, kung ano yung cooling rate ng isang curve. Okay, so compute natin. So this is 2.48. So from 2.48, ang nag-pass siya sa ferrite transformation line, tapos nag-pass siya sa pearlite transformation line, pero hindi siya dumaan sa bainite transformation line. So therefore, ang expected natin dito is pro-ferrite plus perlite na microstructure. Okay? So, ganun lang siya ka-simple class, no? So, wala ng percentages, just kung ano yung available sa kanya. So, next is, ito naman. So, dito, similarly, pwede natin compute din yung ano, no? Pero, pwede namang hindi natin i-compute yung cooling rate na to. Pero this signifies a cooling rate that is, this is passes through the transformation of ferrite, so pro-ferrite ulit, perlite, so may perlite, tapos dadaan siya sa bainite, and after bainite, dumaan din siya sa martensite. Okay? So, for this particular na cooling rate, meron tayong all four, no? Pro-ferrite, perlite, bainite, and martensite. Okay? And last na example natin, ito medyo mas complicated, no? So, ano yung expected microstructure pagka 5 degrees Celsius per second? Okay? So, the way we do this is, okay, so the way we do this is, note lang natin kung nasaan nagpo-fall si 5 degrees Celsius because in these types of diagrams, minsan naka-indicate na rin yung mga ano, no, critical cooling rates. So again, critical cooling rates is just the rates kung saan pwede mong maiwasan yung mga certain types of transformation lines. So for example, itong 8.3 degrees Celsius na to, this is the rate that avoids the bainite nose, no? So dito, sure ka na anything faster than that is purely martensite. Tapos dito, itong blue na critical cooling rate na to is for the bainite. So anything faster than that will give you bainite plus martensite kasi since nag-produce ka dito, austenite plus bainite, pero dadaan ka rin sa austenite and martensite. So kaya meron kang martensite plus bainite. Tapos similarly, ito para sa ferrite naman, ito para sa perlite. So yun yung mga critical cooling rates. So ang gagawin mo lang is, just note kung nasaan si 5 degrees Celsius. 5 degrees Celsius is in between 0.3 degrees and your 8.3 degrees Celsius per second. Tama? So kung in between siya dyan, then therefore, yung curve niya is somewhere dito. Tama, no? And hindi ko kailangan actually i-draw, no? Basta sure ako na in between siya sa dalawang critical cooling rates na to. So since in between siya, sure ako na ang mapuproduce ko is martensite plus bainite. Okay? You can interpolate it if, for example, if you really need to, pwede naman i-linear interpolation mo na lang from here to here. No? So kung 0.3 to, this is 8.3. Then if I were to interpolate it, it's somewhere mga ganyan. Hindi pa rin linear pala class mo kasi naka-logarithmic para yung ano, yung scale natin. So yun, medyo mahirap i-estimate kung nasaan siya, pero we know na in between siya sa two cooling rates na to. So that particular na curve should be in between here, and based sa graph, we should produce martensite plus bainite. Okay? Tapos, meron pa bang isang example dito? Paano pag 0.01%? Pag 0.01%, 0.01% is in between 0.006 and 0.02. Tama? So, ano ba yun? Ano lang natin. No? So, 0.01% daw in between sa curve na to. Tama? In between siya dito. So, dapat ang mapuproduce natin is itong tatlong to. So, we should produce martensite, ferrite, perlite, pro-ferrite, perlite, and bainite. Which is yun yung tamang sagot. No? Okay? So, again, pwede rin naman na mag-compute kayo class, no? Ng different, o pwede po kayong bigyan ng different values, and you should be able to estimate kung ano yung microstructures na present. So again, for CCTs, wala tayong percentages, no? So we cannot estimate kung ilang percentage dapat. Not unless na meron tayong ano, no? Ang pwede lang natin ma-compute siguro with exact certainty is yung mga ferrite na ano, na mga composition, kasi ferrite kaya natin ma-compute yung maximum na kaya niya kasi that is ano, no, limited by the equilibrium. So kaya natin ma-compute yung ferrite. Pero over all other microstructures, meron kasi tinatawag na parang competitive yung growth nila, no? So all of them are beginning to form or are forming at the same time, no? So kaya hindi ma-estimate kung ilan pa ba yung austenite na kaya mag-form as opposed to yung TTT, no, wherein we are holding it at a particular temperature. Therefore, sure lang tayo na isa lang yung dapat microstructure na nagpo-form from the available austenite. Dito kasi since it is continuously being cooled, hindi natin sure kung ano yung ilang percentage ng austenite ang nagta-transform to which microstructure. So kaya never tayo makaka-estimate ng percentages. No? We can only know the expected phases na dapat makita natin from this continuous cooling. So when is continuous cooling more useful than your TTT is when we have ano, no, for example, require that we nire-require sa material natin is that we have a hard phase. So usually when we say a hard phase, we are pertaining to the martensitic phase, no? Or sometimes we call this as the hardened phase. And related din siya sa yung tinatawag nating hardenability class, no, which will be explained later sa pag nag-heat treatment ng kaya na lesson. Pero kunwari lang kailangan natin ng hard phase or a hardened phase, then if you want a completely hardened phase, then dapat kailangan na purely martensite yung ano natin, yung structure ng ating steel or system or Fe3C system. So for this example, kung gusto natin purely martensitic, then kung tatanungin kayo what will be your suggested cooling rate, then I would suggest a cooling rate that is higher than 8.3 degrees Celsius. Anything lower, I begin now to start, or I am now starting to form the bainitic structure. Tapos kung mas slower pa yon, slower than 0.3 degrees Celsius, makakita na rin ako ng mga ferrite phases dun. Okay? So, yun yung mga certain application, no? And we can apply that also dito, no? Dito sa class na to. So, for example, pwede ko kayong tanungin ano yung cooling rate na isasuggest mo para makapag-produce ka ng makaka-produce ka ng purely hardened phase. So, 1045, pwede kang mag-estimate. So, we can estimate dito class, no? So kunwari i-estimate natin to. Let me take this now. How can I estimate the critical cooling rate for this particular na example? So let me transfer it again. Nasaan tayo? Transition tayo. Tama. Kunwari, gusto ko i-estimate na purely martensitic. Ano yung magiging critical cooling rate ko? So therefore, dapat medyo ganito yung profile, no? So iiwasan ko tong bainite na transformation na to. So the critical cooling rate therefore now becomes, if I were to just estimate, no? So if I start at 750, yan, no? Then I need to be able to bring the temperature down to 300, and this is almost gitna, no? So mga 345 siguro to. So 345. So I need to be able to bring it down to 345 at a temperature at a time equal to this is 10 to the 0 kasi ito class, no? So this is 10 to the 0. So ito 10 to the 1. Then therefore ito, this is mga 10 to the 0.4. Tama, no? Mga ganun. 10 to the 0.4. So I need to bring this temperature from 70 to 345 at around 10 to the 0.4 seconds. So kung i-compute natin siya, then we just do simple calculation class, no? That's just 750 That's 750 minus 345. So that's the change in temperature divided by change in time, which is 10 to the 0.4. And if you compute that, ito yung compute, no? So 750 minus 345 divided by 10 raised to 0.4. We should have, no, medyo mataas siya, no? Pero, tama ba to? Sige, siguro tama to. It's a fairly high value, no? Yung nakuha ko is, and please correct me if baka may mali akong na input, pero ang nakuha ko is 161 degrees Celsius per second, no? So that is an extremely fast quench, no? And notice na dito, doon sa kabilang ano natin, microstructure, kabilang steel system, yung 4340, notice how 8.3 lang yung degrees Celsius per second lang yung kailangan, no? Which is a more reasonable na ano, no? That's why adding certain alloying elements actually helps the hardenability of a material, no? Hardenability, just a preview, no, for the future lesson is, this is the ease of which you can harden your steel. So kung mayroon kang certain alloying elements, mas kumbaga napupush yung nose niya such that kahit mas moderate yung severity ng quench mo, ma-achieve mo pa rin yung hardened state. So for the example natin, itong sa 1040 na steel, no? Makikita nyo na sobrang exact yung ano, no, yung amount of quenching na kailangan natin gawin para lang fully martensitic yung structure natin. Okay? So merong tanong. So sa chat, let me look at the chat. So may tanong si Kervin, bakit po sa halip ng ferrite ang sabihin natin na included pro-ferrite yung minamention? So parating pro-ferrite siya because we need to distinguish between yung ferrite na existing in the pearlite phase versus the ferrite that is precipitated out bago tayo mag-eutectoid transformation. Okay? So, kasi yung sa eutectoid transformation natin, that is the ferrite produced from the gamma phase na during the eutectoid transformation at 727 degrees Celsius at 0.76%. So, kaya always dinidistinguish natin siya as pro-ferrite phase. Pero for simplicity, pwede din naman tawagin siya as ferrite lang. Pero may cases lang kasi na baka ma-confuse natin siya with, kunwari, sinabi natin, this is a combination of, yung microstructure dapat natin is a combination of ferrite and pearlite. Tapos, pwede ko, kunwari, ikaw nagsabi nun, tapos parang pwede kong tanungin na, bukod pa ba yung ferrite na yan sa ferrite na nasa pearlite? Kasi pearlite has ferrite, tama? Kasi Fe3C plus alpha kasi siya. So, it has ferrite. So, para mas clear yung distinction, sinasabi na lang natin na yung ferrite na hindi part of the pearlite mixture is a pro-ferrite phase. So, it's more of for accuracy lang, kumbaga. So, I hope that answers your question, Kervin, no? Okay, thank you, Kervin, for the feedback. So, mukhang okay na tayo sa lesson, no? Sa CCT, TTT, and phase diagrams. Meron pa bang additional questions? Meron bang medyo nakakalito, medyo matagal pala yung overtime natin. Pasensya na. Hopefully, okay naman, malinaw naman. And sana nakatulong tong medyo extension natin, no? Meron pa ba tayong questions before I end the session? Before I ask specific questions, tatanungin ko lang, malinaw ba yung explanation ko sa yung paggamit ng two non-equilibrium diagrams? Nagigets naman?
Gets naman po, sir.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. Okay, I hope na ano, no, with this session plus yung podcast na in-upload ko, well-equipped kayo para masagutan yung mga ano, no, mga future na worksheets nyo, lalo na sa 176.1. Doon medyo complicated yung mga ano no, merong mga complicated na ano doon, siguro mga complicated na heat treatment profiles na in real life medyo impractical sa gawin no. Pero just for the sake of ano no, parang exercise lang, mental exercise para masanay tayo paggamit. Provided siya doon sa 176.1. Pero again, usually pag practical tayo na ano engineers, usually we don't go to the hassle of ano no, holding it at different temperatures, because just imagine no, in the real world paano nyo gagawin na i-hold or tatanggalin nyo siya sa furnace fast enough such that walang magta-transform doon sa austenite na nandun. Tama? Medyo mahirap imagine no? Kahit itong profile na pinakita ko ngayon, kuwari itong profile, itong green profile na to, kahit yung, kuwari let's talk about yung mga ganito no, kuwari yan, you would imagine no, medyo mahirap to ma-achieve class no, kasi kunwari i-quench mo siya, ito madali lang i-quench mo, pero up to 600, paano mako-control na 600 lang, titigil ka sa 600, tapos at 600 i-hold mo up to 1 point something seconds or mga siguro up to 3.5 seconds ano, estimate natin dito. So hold mo siya for 3.5 seconds na nasa loob ng furnace to, 3.5 seconds lang i-hold, tapos tatanggalin niyo siya sa furnace fast enough na i-drop yung temperature to 400 degrees Celsius accurately enough, tapos itatransfer niyo siya sa separate furnace na yun. Kasi wala kang furnace na kayang mag-drop ng ganitong kabilis, no? So itatransfer mo siya sa ibang furnace. Tapos within that furnace na 400 degrees Celsius, you hold mo siya for 30 minutes. Yun, kaya yun. Pero, di ba? Medyo impractical na gawin yung mga ganitong klaseng heat treatment profiles. Okay, kaya always, mas practical pa rin talaga mag-continuous cooling ka lang kasi i-austenitize mo lang at one temperature, tapos drop mo to room temperature with whatever quenchant is available to you. Okay? So again, more mental exercise yung ano no, yung mga problems natin, and you don't actually observe them in real life. Pero it's still worth studying para maintindihan talaga natin kung ano yung mga microstructure developments. Does that make sense? Nagma-make sense ba yung medyo rant ko? We can call it a rant, pero nagma-make sense ba yan? I hope nagma-make sense. So I think wala na masyadong questions, no? And since alas 12 na, magandang time na rin na mag-end tayo para makapag-lunch tayo. So again, I thank everyone who took their time para pumasok ngayon. And I hope masarap yung ulam nyo today. So see you next week, guys.
See you, sir. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.